Now back to Outdoors with Larry Ray on ESPN 790. Brought to you proudly by the Tennessee Wildlife Resource Agency, Gaston's White River Resort, and Barton Power Sports.
Hey, good Saturday morning. Welcome back to Outdoors with Larry Ray on ESPN 790 as we roll into this October the 17th, which is third Saturday of the month, which means Frank Barton is normally here, but we have Guy Trebo here.
Good morning.
Filling in, my webmaster. You got to be a little bit more excited, Bubba, okay, over there?
Well, you give me a chance.
All right, I'm giving you a chance. Now, you're interested in this next guest because you looked it up.
I did. We've had him on the site before.
Yes, we have, and he probably doesn't remember it. We've been on so many times with different people and everything, but, I got a lot of friends at Traditions Media, Noel Vick, Corey Schmidt, those guys really supply us a lot of interviews. And when they send me something that looks like it's kind of cool and I get a chance to talk to a guy that has done so much in his career, I'm not going to age him because if I age him, I got to age myself, and I'm middle-aged for a 144-year-old man, so that tells people how old I am, but I'm not going to ask. Joe Balog, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. I feel older now that you put it that way.
Oh, no. I don't want you ever to feel older or anything like that, Joe, because when I looked at this thing, we've talked to Joe before, and that's what threw me off. I thought there was a Joe 1 and a Joe 2 because he's always been up in the greater north, so to speak, and everything, and all of a sudden it says DeLand, Florida. I think we need to explain that, Joe, to our listeners.
Well, I'm like the other 1,000 Americans a day. I just picked up and moved to Florida, but I grew up and fished the Lake Erie area, Lake St. Clair, and did a lot of work with big smallmouth and all kinds of crazy cold water, extreme weather stuff around the Great Lakes market. And I've just recently relocated to Florida, where, as everybody knows, you travel so much, so you don't. I'm not always here, but
yeah.
But it's good to be here right now, as it's been in the 80s all week.
Well, we're up and down here, and it's fall time and everything. Let's talk a bit because Guy was asking about this. And what subject are we talking about, Guy?
Biolume.
Biolume.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Tell us about it.
Biolume is essentially an underwater light system.
Yeah.
And to some fishermen, this will be a no-brainer, and they'll be real familiar with this topic. And to others, it's almost taboo, and a lot of people don't really know a whole lot about it. But what Biolume is, it's a portable underwater light.
Mm-hmm.
It's actually a green, kind of a soft light that plugs directly into a 12-volt battery or a cigarette lighter on a boat, whatever you want it to do. But it puts out a very large amount of light, actually, underwater based on the size of the unit. And what that does is that essentially attracts bait fish. It does so through a number of, the science behind it is kind of has been talked about in the past, but basically it attracts plankton attracts bait fish attract big fish attract me. So it's something that in the saltwater community has been huge for a number of years.
Yeah.
I mean, people have had underwater lights wired in right off their pier or their dock for years. It's big with crappie fishermen, especially in the mid-south and southeast. But we're seeing that it's really catching on for a number of species. It's becoming bigger with ice fishing, believe it or not, which and even open water fishing, all over the country, because there are certain species of fish that at night with the attraction of bait fish through a lighting system, I mean, the fishing's just better.
It is.
Especially, we see that, and you see that in fishing across the board, where somebody will kind of get on something and then it spreads throughout the country. And I mean, this is nothing for people, in your area and people in the southeast, like I mentioned, and hardcore crappie guys. This is a no-brainer. They've been doing lights on docks at night, for decades. But now it's portable.
It's portable, and it's so convenient now, and it's size-wise, too. I mean, you could this new series, this XL series underwater fish attracting light, it's cool. I mean,
there's two sizes. There's an original Biolume, which is a smaller one. There's the XL, which is a big one. They're both relatively inexpensive. Anybody that everybody can see and knows now that technology has come so far, especially in the last couple of years, just LED and lighting technology. Now you go to Lowe's and there's a flashlight up at the register for $1, and it's brighter and better than any flashlight ever was 10 years ago. So, I mean...
Well, talk about that, Joe, because I know you've been doing this for a while. I'm not aging you again, but the technology, really, and you just mentioned it, in the last 2 years. I mean, we're not talking about 10 years or 15 years when we all took the flashlight and hung it down there.
Right. Or a lantern. I mean, I remember when I was young, we'd fish off the causeways and the riprap banks for crappie on some of the lakes in Ohio, and we would put a lantern right on the edge of the water surface, right on the last rock before you'd fall into the water, and it would illuminate the area right around that causeway. And I mean, we'd fish right on the edge of that light, and it was like casting into a secret vault of crappies. I mean, that was the spot. You cast on the edge of that light, and you'd catch one every time.
And there's bugs everywhere. Bugs were everywhere around the light. I mean, that attracted. They get on the water. They do that. The guy's probably done this, and I've actually fished with a flashlight. You've had it on your helmet. And but this thing is so savvy. Like, I don't know how long they'll last. I meant to ask that to some of the guys up there, but and you mentioned inexpensive. Really, I mean, this thing.
Oh yeah. Bioluminal, the original one's $50.
Yeah.
And it's this incredible long, massive light that puts off a lot of light. But again, it's green. It's totally waterproof. It comes with, I think, like 200 feet of cord. God. It's got a plug that, like I said, you can plug it right to your boat battery, or you can plug it into a cigarette lighter adapter. And it's not like a big cumbersome plug. You pick one or the other, you plug it in, and you're done. So it'll last as long as you have power.
Amazing.
And they're waterproof, submersible, and they're salt proof. You can put them in salt water. I mean, they're like indestructible.
They are. And again, we're talking to Joe Balog here about. Not just, and I want to get a couple other subjects with Joe because I always like to get him on the air. We're talking about the Bioluminal, the series underwater fishing, fish attracting light. But Joe has touched so many bases. He mentioned that he's done some ice fishing. You just Google Joe, and that's Balog. Just Google that and see some of his videos. I watched a couple of them sitting inside that tent by yourself. And I don't know what the temperature was outside, but I got cold watching you. But, drilling through ice and things along that line, I don't think our people are fascinated down here by people who do that, Joe. And because we're so we can fish in December we have what we call a 1-inch blizzard in Memphis. It closes, right, Guy?
That's right.
It closes this town down. We just built an overpass that I know that no one's going to pass over it when we have our 1-inch blizzard. It's so high. Tell our listeners a little about yourself, because I think you got a fascinating career.
Well, I as we mentioned at the beginning, I started out fishing on the Great Lakes and on Lake Erie. My dad was a charter boat captain.
That's what I thought. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And moved from there up, and spent about 20 years really, really fishing Lake Erie, and kind of entered the world as a professional bass fisherman, and fished a bunch of big tournaments all over the country and did a bunch of seminar work. And then I moved from there up to Lake St. Clair and got involved more with ice fishing and again bass fishing and duck hunting and the Great Lakes stuff. But I've fished in Florida for 20 years. Yeah. So I've been wanting to come down here, and that's where I'm at. But before then, that you mentioned the ice fishing deal. It's wild. I mean, it's wild. It really is. I mean, you can drive cars out on the ice, but it's so similar. And I found that up there, it's so similar to regular open water fishing, because in today, again, with technology, you move around, you drill holes. There's better drills. There's faster drills. There's more technology. There's things like this Bioluminal. There's better electronics, and you run all around the lake fishing. It's just you don't run around in a boat; you run around on a four-wheeler. So I mean, it's the same deal. It's that it's aggressively targeting fish. It's not just sitting over a hole freezing and. I know it's on my bucket list. Technology is there, man.
My bucket list is getting short, to do this. But I feel like if you watch some of Joe's videos, how passionate he is about these things, and I know you wouldn't represent this company if you didn't believe in Bioluminal. I mean,
oh yeah, and Biolume too. We should probably mention Biolume is the same company that owns AquaView underwater.
That's
cameras,
right. That's what I want you to get into.
Who I've worked with since the inception of the underwater camera. I can remember.
Yeah.
I bet you it's been 20 years now that I had my first underwater camera, and I used them extensively. I used one yesterday, actually, down here in Florida.
Okay.
To kind of spy up underneath the big floating mats of water hyacinths and look at all the bass underneath there. And I mean, it's changed my fishing forever. An underwater camera has, and I mean, now the technology with those is there too, where they're real small and lightweight and portable. But I mean, Biolume's the same company, so I mean, when it comes to technology, I'm a skeptic, and I like to use it for a long time before I make an opinion.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, this again, it's not a new concept.
No.
It's been around for years. It's just now, it's the technology that's so convenient in the rest of our lives has come into fishing.
Well,
so that's fantastic.
Well, I know we got 2 more minutes here, and underwater cameras, Guy is more familiar with camera work than I am because, I've dropped mine underwater a couple of times. It wasn't supposed to be down there. Of course, we've all lost. No, I didn't lose a phone. I did not drop my phone in the water. No, I didn't do that. Underwater cameras, though. I mean, that's just amazing. And AquaView was one of the first to do it.
Yeah, and I've worked with AquaView for a number of years, and again, I can remember these cameras that, I mean, they were 40 pounds, and they were in a big backpack, and it was just the most cumbersome thing. It was cool because we'd never seen below the surface. Yeah. But it was, today's underwater cameras are, without any exaggeration, they're the size of, a modern cell phone. They literally fit in the palm of a hand. There's one called a Micro and a Micro 5, which is a little 5-inch screen. Everything's all contained inside the monitor. It recharges. You can put it on your computer and watch your videos on your computer. You can record on it and see your and show people and download to YouTube and do all those things with an underwater camera. Yeah. But it literally fits in your pocket. So I mean, now and technology is there where it's just light years ahead, and it's so easy. We'll see. This will be mainstream in just a few years as people start to discover these things more. But for right now, I mean, it's just. Technology has taken us places in all facets of our life, but now as well in fishing. Well, Joe, tell our listeners how they can get in touch with you, maybe see some information about you. I know you got a Facebook page and things along that line. Oh, yeah. My main business and my company now is a promotional company which has been around called Millennium Promotions. Yeah. Joe Balog's Millennium Promotions on Facebook or MPI.com. That's all you have to do. We're going to post that. We'll get some of that on LROutdoors.com with my man over at Guy Tree. But Joe, always great to talk to you. We got your number. Now that you're in Florida, we'll talk to you even more because we know you'll be warm when you're there. Okay? Yeah, I'll be fishing. I'll be using my Biolume and everything when you guys are getting your big blizzard this winter. Oh, our big 1-inch blizzard. That's right. Yeah. Good luck. Thanks, Joe. Talk to you later. Thank you. All right. Let's take a break, come right back, and turn the rest of the show over to Guy Trebo as I'm going to take a nap on Outdoors with Larry Ray on ESPN 790. You can find out all about it on Outdoors with Larry.